Hey, welcome to a new video. Over the years, a lot of mysterious events have been recorded, many of which still remain unanswered. Are you new to this channel? Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. And before we start, also like the video. The Hubble Ultra Deep Field is a groundbreaking image of a small area in space taken over an 11-day period. The image was captured using the Hubble Space Telescope, which was launched into low Earth orbit by NASA in 1990. It's one of the most famous and profound astronomical images ever taken, revealing thousands of galaxies that are believed to be among the earliest and most distant objects in the observable universe. The resulting image has become an iconic representation of the vastness of the universe and our place within it. It contains an estimated 10,000 galaxies, many of which are located at tremendous distances. Their light was emitted billions of years ago and captured by Hubble when the universe was much younger than it is today. In fact, many of the galaxies seen in the image are considered some of the earliest and most distant objects ever observed, some of them having formed only a few hundred million years after the Big Bang. Pakistan International Air Flight 404 was a domestic passenger flight that took off on April 28, 1992. The aircraft was traveling from Lahore to Multan in Pakistan, and there were 49 passengers and 5 crew members on board. However, the weather conditions started to deteriorate, with heavy rainfall, poor visibility, and strong winds. During the attempt to land at Multan Airport, the plane ended up in an open field. According to the story, the pilot was so frightened that he had not extended the landing gear before attempting to land. Unfortunately, no one survived, and immediately after the incident, calls were made for stricter regulations and improved training programs for pilots and aviation personnel. The government responded by establishing a National Aviation Safety Council and implementing new safety standards for airlines operating in the country. The last recorded transmission from the aircraft was a distress call from the captain yelling Mayday. However, what exactly happened that day remains unclear. Submarine volcanic eruptions tend to be more explosive and less frequent than those on land. This is because the pressure of the water surrounding the volcano can intensify the eruption, and the water can also react with the magma to create explosive reactions. In 2019, a team of scientists led by Joseph Ressing captured footage of a series of underwater volcanic eruptions on the floor of the Pacific Ocean. The eruption occurred near the Mariana Islands, a remote island group. Joseph and his team used a remote operation vehicle to capture video footage of the eruptions, which took place at a depth of over 3,937 feet, or 1,200 meters below the ocean's surface. The video footage showed plumes of hot lava and gas spewing from the openings of the submarine volcanoes. As the magma rises to the surface of the volcano, it can cause pressure to build up, leading to the eruption. The pressure can also cause magma to mix with gases such as water vapor, carbon dioxide, and sulfur dioxide, creating explosive reactions that propel lava and other debris into the air. The Norimitsu Odachi is a gigantic sword from Japan that reportedly dates back to the 15th century. The sword measures over 12 feet or 3.7 meters long and weighs more than 31 pounds or 14 kilograms. It's one of the largest swords in the world, and it's so big that it's said to have been used by a giant. A sword of that size must also have been difficult to handle, and its size would have made it an easy target for enemy soldiers, unless it was used by a giant. Some stories suggest it was made for a legendary Japanese warrior, while others claim it was crafted as a ceremonial weapon for use in religious rituals. The Norimitsu Odachi dates back to Japan's Muromachi period, which lasted from the 14th to the 16th century. It's believed to have been made in the Osafun region of Japan. A man named Norimitsu was one of the most famous swordsmiths at the time, and it's thought that he created this sword. However, for whom and why it was made still remains a mystery. Do you have any ideas? On a small piece of land called Slope Point on the South Island in New Zealand, there are trees growing that look bizarre. They were planted by local farmers for shelter for their sheep. What they couldn't predict is that these trees were going to grow sideways. The strange thing about it is that in other places on the island, the same kind of trees grow straight up. How could this be? But they think it has to do with the extreme winds in the area. Slope Point is located 4,800 kilometers from the South Pole and 5,100 kilometers from the equator. Because of this, scientists think the trees may have grown crooked due to the strong winds. The Hope Diamond is one of the most sought-after jewels in the world. Who would have thought that such an admirable treasure carries a curse? The Hope Diamond owes its blue color to a chemical element called boron and is valued at $350 million. The legend says that whoever owns or wears it will have a lot of bad luck in their life. According to the story, a man named Tavanir supposedly traveled to India to steal the blue diamond from the Hindu goddess Sita. Some people say it's just a made-up story for publicity. However, several famous people in history who wore the diamond suffered a bitter fate, including King Louis XIV, French official Nicolas Fouquet, and Marie Antoinette. Nowadays, the Hope Diamond is kept safe by the National Museum of History in the U.S. city of Washington, D.C. This man from the US state of California was so amazed by the figure he saw in the sky that he grabbed his camera and started filming it. While he was with his wife and friend near an airport, they saw a suddenly humanoid shadow floating in the air. In the video footage, you can hear the man named Pablo Morales exclaim, "Is that Jesus Christ?" But what happened next is pretty strange. The man zoomed in with his camera, and as you can see, it seems that the figure was not just floating, but also walking through the air, and then suddenly disappears in thin air. The man's friend thought it might be a drone, but let's face it doesn't look like that at all. People of faith say that Jesus Christ sometimes shows himself. Whatever it is, it remains a mystery. The Mary Celeste is a famous abandoned ship that was found adrift in the Atlantic Ocean on December 5, 1872. The ship was discovered about 400 miles or 640 kilometers east of the Azores by a British vessel called the Dybrada, with no one on board. The Mary Celeste was on its way from New York to Genoa, Italy, carrying a cargo of alcohol when it was abandoned. However, there were several strange circumstances surrounding the discovery of the ship. The cargo of the ship was mostly untouched, and there was ample food on board, but the ship's lifeboat was missing, and one of the ship's pumps was dismantled. The cause of the crew's disappearance remains a mystery to this day, and it's given rise to much speculation and debate. Numerous theories have been put forward, including piracy and even an attack by a gigantic sea monster. What do you think happened to the crew, and what could have led them to abandon the ghost ship without leaving a single clue? Flight 19 was a group of 5 Grumman TBF Avenger aircraft from the United States Navy that disappeared on December 5, 1945, over the Bermuda Triangle. It was a training mission intended to practice navigation and bombing techniques. The flight consisted of 5 planes and 14 crew members, and they all vanished during the flight over the Atlantic Ocean between Florida and the Bahamas. The search and rescue operation for Flight 19 was one of the largest in the history of the US Navy, involving dozens of aircraft, ships, and personnel. According to recorded transmissions, the crew members of Flight 19 initially reported that they were lost and disoriented. One pilot said, "We don't know which way is west. Everything is wrong. We can't be sure of any direction. Even the ocean doesn't look as it should." Another pilot reported that his compass was behaving strangely. As the situation became more serious, the crew members became increasingly panicked. Some people suggest that they flew into a wormhole that led to another world. Others say that all 5 planes encountered powerful storms or waterspouts. Whatever it was, it remains a mystery. The Devil's Bible, also known as the Codex Gigas, is a medieval manuscript famous for its mysterious origin. The book is one of the largest surviving medieval manuscripts in the world and is nearly 9 inches or 23 centimeters thick. The Devil's Bible was written on parchment paper from the skins of 160 donkeys, a common practice in the Middle Ages. It's believed to have been created in the early 13th century in a Bohemian monastery by a monk known as Herman the Recluse. The Codex Gigas contains a variety of texts, including the complete Latin Vulgate Bible, as well as other religious and historical texts. It also features some unusual and mysterious characteristics, such as a full-page illustration of the devil, which has led to speculation that the book may be cursed or even created with the help of the devil himself. Some people believe that Herman made a deal with the devil, promising to create a book that could glorify him in exchange for assistance in completing the work. Wadi-us-Salaam is a cemetery located in Mojave, Iraq, and is considered the largest cemetery in the world. It's estimated to be over 1,400 years old and covers an area of approximately 3.7 square miles, or 6 square kilometers. The cemetery houses the remains of millions of people. It's so vast that it has its own road network and buildings, including a hospital and a police station. There's also areas of the cemetery used for agriculture, where families cultivate crops amidst the graves. The cemetery is so full that there's often not enough space for new burials. In certain cases, families have to wait a considerable amount of time before they can lay their loved ones to rest. The cemetery also houses several mausoleums and shrines, many of which are beautifully adorned with intricate tile work and calligraphy. Some of these shrines are said to contain the remains of Shiite imams and are considered some of the holiest places in Shia Islam. The cemetery is also said to be haunted by a jinn, a supernatural being from Islamic mythology. Many people believe that these beings are attracted to the cemetery due to the large number of bodies being buried there. The last thing you would expect to find in a desert is probably a megaphone. But in the Mojave Desert located in California, there really is one that's bolted between two rocks. No one actually knows what this object is, but you can see it very much so looks like a megaphone. It could be a weapon, maybe an unusual antenna, or what do you think it looks like? This mysterious object is at the top of a hill between the towns of Baker and Ludlow. So some people think that it might be a megaphone used by the US military to alert the local population during a secret test. Others think it was an antenna to communicate with aliens. The most mysterious theory suggests that it was an entrance that leads to a large cave system with an underground river of gold. A Dybbuk is an evil spirit from Jewish mythology. It's said to haunt and possess the living, but in the case of the Dybbuk Box, it could also live inside a lifeless object, such as a wine cabinet. The Dybbuk Box was put up for auction on eBay by a Mr. Kevin Manis, who wrote that he had purchased the box from a Holocaust survivor in Poland. According to him, all the families who once owned the box suffered an unfortunate fate. Famous artist Post Malone believes he also fell victim to the curse of the Dybbuk Box when he visited a friend who owned the box at the time. They opened the creepy box, and in just 1 month, all sorts of unfortunate events happened in his life. The surveillance camera of a Russian historical museum captured the extraordinary moment when the dome covering a meteorite began to move on its own and rise. The meteorite that covered the moving dome is called the Chelyabinsk, which broke through the Earth's atmosphere near the Ural Mountains in February 2013. It was so bright that the people who witnessed it could not believe their eyes. The impact was also huge and created a shockwave that shattered glass windows. According to the museum security staff, there was no technical problems that day that could have caused the movement of the dome cover. Some people believe that objects of extraterrestrial origin would have magical or higher powers and connect with each other. Others say that this was simply a mechanical error with the dome. Either way, it does remain a mystery, because unfortunately, we couldn't find any more info about it. While driving through rural New Hampshire in September 1961, American couple Betty and Barney Hill experienced something terrifying. The incident they went through is one of the most remarkable cases of alleged alien abduction in history. According to their accounts, as they were driving back from vacation, they saw a strange object in the sky that seemed to be following them. As they continued driving, the object flew closer and eventually landed in front of their car. They claimed to have seen several human-like figures in black uniforms come out of the object and approach them. Betty and Barney insisted that they were then taken aboard a spacecraft and subjected to various medical procedures. They described the beings they encountered as creatures with gray skin and large slanted eyes. After the incident, Betty and Barney experienced various symptoms, including nightmares and anxiety. Eventually, they sought help from a psychiatrist to gain a better understanding of what had happened to them. Even up until their deaths, the couple continued to maintain that they were genuinely abducted by alien beings. Quite creepy, don't you think? Pan Am Flight 7 was a commercial airplane that went missing in the Pacific Ocean on November 8, 1957. It was flying from San Francisco, California to Honolulu, Hawaii, with stopovers in Honolulu, Tokyo, Hong Kong, and Manila. The flight carried 36 passengers and 8 crew members. Somewhere between San Francisco and Honolulu, the plane disappeared without a trace above the Pacific Ocean. In the days following the disappearance, an extensive search and rescue operation was launched, but no sign of the aircraft or its passengers were found. What happened? Mechanical issues? Pilot error? Sabotage? Well, nobody knows. The flight was one of the first commercial airplanes to cross the Pacific Ocean, and on board were military personnel, civilians, and members of the press. The disappearance of Pan Am Flight 7 occurred during the time of heightened tensions during the Cold War between the United States and the Soviet Union, leading to speculations that the incident can be related to espionage or other covert activities. Some investigators have suggested that the plane might have been shot down by a missile, or that it could have been hijacked by foreign agents. Whales are known as the rulers of the oceans, not only due to their impressive size, but also because of their majestic presence. As gentle giants, they exhibit a rare ability to coexist harmoniously with other sea creatures, seldom being disturbed while resting. When a whale sleeps, it remains completely still in the water, with its head and tail pointing downward. The whale's blowhole breaks through the water's surface, allowing it to breathe while asleep. It's a way for whales to conserve energy while remaining alert to potential threats in their surroundings. This behavior is most commonly observed in sperm whales, but it also has been seen in other species, including humpback whales and gray whales. Whales can stay in this position for hours, but they need to regularly come up to the surface to breathe. They take shallow breaths and exhale slowly to avoid making noise that could attract predators. While whales can sleep for several hours at a time, they don't enter a deep sleep like humans do. Part of their brain remains active while they sleep. Part of their brain remains active while the others sleep. Fascinating, huh? This football match seems to have no shortage of advertisements, but this actually depends on your location. The advertisements will change depending on where the match is being broadcasted. Believe it or not, this is known as geo-targeted advertising, and it's a common practice in the advertising industry. It involves displaying ads to specific groups of people based on their geographical location. Advertisers utilize various techniques to determine a user's location, including IP addresses, GPS data, and Wi-Fi signals. When it comes to advertisements during a football match, broadcasters typically use a technique to show different ads to different regions. This means the original broadcast signal is replaced with a localized ad signal during commercial breaks or other designated intervals. The benefits include higher relevance, increased revenue as businesses reach their target audience more effectively, and strategically targeting competitors' customers. Emperor Nintoku is considered by many historians to be a legendary Japanese emperor. He reigned in the 5th century, and thanks to his talents in engineering and architecture, he brought about numerous improvements in his country, such as canals and other structures. With his skills, he also managed to help the people from starvation. Although he lived a good and peaceful life, the exact location of his final resting place is quite a mystery. Experts only know that his tomb is somewhere near a group of megalithic tombs. In Sakai, called the Mozu tombs. Here are more than 50 ancient burial mounds, one of which is said to belong to Emperor Nintoku. These burial mounds were built about 300 to 538 AD, and even today little is known about the site. This is due to the Japanese agency of the emperor who forbid even archaeologists to look there. Mr. Fritz is a creepy doll that currently belongs to a man named Michael Diamond. The doll is said to have belonged to a prisoner of war from Poland with a dark past. The man decided to put the doll in a glass case and soon noticed paranormal things happening in the room. He decided to put up a camera, and what happened next is pretty terrifying. Mr. Fritz's eyes move, after which the door of the glass case is opened. Because of this creepy event, he decided to secure the glass case with a chain. If the following video footage is to be believed, a mysterious sea creature was supposedly captured on camera here. The creature, which looks very much like a merman, was pulled from an unknown lake in Poland. In the video footage, which lasts about 2 minutes, a team of men are wearing special biohazard suits and putting the creature on a stretcher. Some people think it might be a scene from a movie, but since we couldn't find anything more on this, it remains very mysterious. We can clearly see that the creature seems to have a tail with a human upper body. There were also several articles written about this, but nothing seems to have been heard about it since. This makes it even more mysterious than it already is. What do you think? Do creatures like this really exist, or what else could be going on here? In video games, the term NPC refers to characters controlled by the game's programming code, rather than by the player. These characters are often used to populate the game world and provide other interactions to the player. In recent years, the term NPC has been used outside the gaming industry to describe people who seem to be living on autopilot, without engaging in meaningful interactions or showing much emotion or personality. These individuals appear to be going through their daily routine without truly experiencing it, just like a non-playable character in a video game. And this can be quite eerie when you encounter such people in real life. Some people attribute this phenomenon to various factors, such as the rise of social media and technology, which may encourage people to spend more time in virtual spaces instead of being engaged in the real world. Others suggest that pressures of modern life, such as work stress and financial worries, can alienate people from their surroundings and put them in a kind of robotic routine. How often have you come across someone on the street who you thought was an NPC? Let me know in the comments. Helios Airways Flight 522 was an airplane that continued flying on autopilot after the crew and passengers lost consciousness. This event is also known as a ghost flight and took place on August 14, 2005. Helios Airway Flight 522 was a scheduled passenger flight from Larnaca, Cyprus to Athens, Greece. The aircraft was a Boeing 737, and there was 115 passengers and 6 crew members on board. Shortly after takeoff, the crew noticed that the airplane's air conditioning wasn't functioning properly. They attempted to address the issue, but were unsuccessful. As the aircraft climbed to its cruising altitude, the crew and passengers began experiencing symptoms of oxygen deficiency due to a loss of cabin pressure. Eventually, the crew lost consciousness, and the plane continued to fly on autopilot. It followed its plane route for several hours, passing Athens and continuing over the Aegean Sea. Fighter jets were scrambled to intercept the aircraft, but they failed to establish communication with the crew. Ultimately, the aircraft ran out of fuel and no one survived. To this day, it remains unclear how this happened. The Roswell incident is one of the most famous UFO sightings in American history. In July 1947, William Brazel discovered strange debris on his property near Roswell, New Mexico. The debris was later identified as coming from a crashed weather balloon, but rumors quickly spread that it was actually from an extraterrestrial spaceship. The US military initially confirmed they had recovered a flying disc, but later retracted that statement, claiming the debris was from a weather balloon. According to the story, they also found an alien being alongside the UFO and took it to Area 51 for examination. Since then, the Roswell incident has been the subject of numerous conspiracy theories, with many people believing that the government covered up evidence of an extraterrestrial being. This photo shows a small extraterrestrial being with a large head and large eyes, allegedly found in the extraterrestrial spaceship at Roswell. Do you believe that the US government recovered an extraterrestrial being, or was it simply a weather balloon? What do you think? In 2013, when former US President Barack Obama was giving a speech in the Middle East, people noticed one of the bodyguards looked different. They found that the figure moved in a reptilian manner, fueling rumors about the existence of reptilians. This theory suggests that a group of humanoid reptilian beings live among us, secretly controlling human society for centuries. The theory is based on the idea that these reptilian beings are shapeshifters capable of assuming human forms. Some people believe they hold positions of power in government, the financial world, and other influential institutions. One of the most well-known individuals allegedly identified as a reptilian is Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook. Do you believe in this theory, or do you think that it's nonsense? These giant concrete rings were discovered near the coast of Barents Sea, north of Russia and Norway. They were supposedly built by the Nazis during World War II. The area where the rings are located was designed by the Soviet Union, and it was a restricted access area. The rings don't look like anything special, but because of the unexplained restriction, people began to wonder what else is here. One of the most popular theories is that the concrete arrangement served to house the Nazis' wonder weapons and anti-gravity devices. One of these powerful weapons was the bell, a metal bell-shaped object about 4 to 5 meters high and 3 meters wide. Once activated, the bell would glow purple and destroy everything around it. This would have been the reason why the Nazis themselves stopped developing the weapon. Other theories also say that the ring served as a launching pad for flying saucers. Ancient Egypt believed in the curse of the pharaohs. According to this curse, any soul who would disturb the tomb of the pharaohs would suffer bad luck, become seriously ill, or even face their end. Tutankhamun's tomb is considered one of the most famous curses. In 1923, the pharaoh's tomb was opened by Egyptologist Howard Carter and his team. It was a groundbreaking moment for them, but 13 people who were present died for unknown reasons. Although some people believe the pharaoh's curse caused this, researchers say that high concentrations of bacteria and fungi had been found in the tomb. Local people gathered one day at a local cemetery in the Indonesian village of Watan. A few days after, even tourists came to take a look, because it turned out that a Kuntilanak, an Indonesian mythical creature, was said to be hiding near a 100-year-old tree. According to witnesses, the creature, which is known as a ghost vampire, appeared in broad daylight. Eventually, a few hundred people gathered around the tree to get a closer look at the terrifying creature. The Kuntilanak is also described as a vengeful spirit that sucks the blood out of unsuspecting victims, and it's often found near cemeteries. As you can see, there's a lot of people standing around the tree, but it's unclear if they actually see anything or not. Some claim that they saw the spirit sitting in the tree. Do you see it too? The Georgia Guidestones is a granite monument located in Elbert County, Georgia, that has become infamous for its mysterious messages. The monument was erected sometime in 1980 and consists of 4 massive upright stones, each weighing over 20 tons. Engraved messages in various languages appear on each stone. The monument is also surrounded by 6 granite plaques arranged in a circular pattern. These messages are written in 10 different languages, including Arabic, Chinese, English, Hebrew, Hindi, Russian, Spanish, and Swahili. They contain a list of what is described as guidelines for humanity, such as maintaining a world population of 500 million and promoting a balance between nature and technology. The monument is associated with conspiracy theories, with some suggesting that it's a manifesto for a secret group of elite individuals. However, the origin of the Georgia Guidestones remains a mystery, as the identity of those who built it has never been publicly disclosed. In July 2022, it was reported that one of the stones was destroyed by an explosion, leading to a renewed discussion about the future of the monument and its possible meaning. Glenn Miller was a famous American jazz musician and bandleader who disappeared during a flight over the English Channel in World War II. Glenn had a string of hits and was known for his signature sound, blending traditional jazz with elements of swing and big band music. During World War II, Glenn joined the U.S. Army and was assigned to the Army Air Force. He was tasked with entertaining troops stationed in Europe and extensively traveled the continent, performing for soldiers and boosting their morale. On December 15, 1944, Glenn boarded a single-engine aircraft at Royal Air Force Base in Bedfordshire, England, destined for Paris, France. The purpose of the flight was to entertain American troops in France. However, the aircraft never arrived at its destination and was never seen again. There's numerous theories about what happened to Glenn's plane, including mechanical issues, bad weather, and even enemy fire. However, none of these theories have been proven. All that's known is that he vanished without a trace. Have you ever wondered how early humans communicated? If we're to believe the following photo, it seems that even ancient people might have had mobile phones. The first mobile phone was released on April 3, 1973, by Martin Cooper, an employee of Motorola. He made the first mobile phone call in New York City, using a Motorola Dynatac 8000X, which was then still a very heavy and large phone. However, in 2015, a story emerged claiming that an 800-year-old mobile phone was discovered in Austria. According to the tale, the phone was found during an archaeological excavation and was made of clay and metal. The phone supposedly had symbols on it and was considered a remarkable example of ancient tech. However, the advanced civilization that would have created this device still remains a mystery, as the symbols on the phone did not match any known writing systems. Additionally, the materials used for the phone didn't match those of ancient tech. Some people believe that this is evidence of a lost civilization, or proof that time travel is possible. In August 2016, a video started circulating on social media claiming that someone made an offering at the premises of CERN. CERN is the world's largest and most respected organization for scientific nuclear research. The video showed several people dressed in black robes performing a ritual in front of the statue of the Hindu god Shiva. The nearly 20-foot or 6-meter-high statue was donated to CERN by the Indian government in 2004 to honor India's collaboration with CERN in Switzerland. Shiva is a significant deity in Hinduism and is often associated with destruction and creation. In Hindu mythology, Shiva is known as the god of transformation and is worshipped by millions of people worldwide. The statue at CERN depicts Shiva in the form of Nataraja, the lord of the dance, which is considered a symbol of cosmic cycles of creation and destruction. The video quickly spread, and many people shared it on social media, expressing outrage over the so-called satanic ritual. Even CERN had to intervene, issuing a statement labeling the video as fake and stating that the organization does not endorse or participate in any form of religious or political activities. Granite Mountain is a 180-meter deep canyon with multiple tunnels that hides a large archive and vault. It's located at Little Cottonwood Canyon near Salt Lake City, Utah, and is owned by a Christian faith community founded in 1830. This place is called the Granite Mountains Records Vault, and it's said that a huge amount of genealogical information about certain families is stored here. According to scientists, it contains about 2.4 million rolls of microfilm with about 35 billion images. Despite the size of the vault, only 50 employees work here. They are responsible for the storage, copying, and digitization of the archives. Because the vault is highly secured, it's thought that great mysteries are kept in it. This has never been proven, but it does make you think what they're hiding there. Number 4. These giant concrete rings were discovered near the coast of the Barents Sea north of Russia and Norway. The Busby Stoop chair, also known as the Dead Man's Chair, is said to have belonged to Thomas Busby from England. This is not just any chair. In fact, it was Thomas's favorite chair. In his last moments on Earth, he decided to cast a spell on it. It is said that whoever sat on the chair met an early end. This happened to a whole list of people, from a chimney sweep to a family member and even a group of soldiers who decided to sit on the chair. So it was finally decided to put the chair in the Thirsk Museum so that no one can sit on it. How did that car get there? This is probably something you're asking yourself right now. People passing by saw a Honda Civic dangling from a cable off the Toronto Bridge in Canada. Police, firefighters, and ambulances arrived on the scene to examine the car, but the car was unidentifiable. The car had no license plate, and all the windows had been taken out. Some people assumed that the car had been used for a movie. That's also what the police thought at first, but inquiries revealed that no film shoots were planned in the area. Others said that someone might have wanted to play a major prank, or that it might have been an art installation. In the end, the car was safely put on the ground by the fire department, and to this day, the police still don't know how this happened, or who was behind it. What do you think the most mysterious thing on this list was? Let us know in the comments. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos we've made, click one on the screen or take a look at the channel. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.